You control nothing until you control your emotions. That one sentence from Napoleon Hill isn't just profound, it's practical. Because no matter how intelligent, talented, or ambitious you are, if someone can hijack your emotions, they can control your life. Think about the last time someone's comment sent you spiraling. Maybe it was a passive-aggressive remark from a coworker or a disrespectful gesture in traffic. In that split second, your emotional response dictated your next move. That wasn't strategy, that was surrender. Master your mindset, and you start to reclaim that power. Emotional control isn't about pretending you don't feel. It's about choosing which feelings deserve your energy and which don't. Many live in a constant state of defense, always ready to prove a point, clap back, show strength. But real strength is quiet. It's in the pause before the reaction. The silence when chaos demands noise. The stillness that unnerves those who can't find their own. Imagine being a tree in a storm. The wind screams, branches whip, but the trunk doesn't flinch. Not because it's unaware, but because it's rooted, deep. That's the kind of mental toughness Napoleon Hill pointed to, not surface-level confidence, but internal fortitude. Stillness is a form of resilience. It's a strategic silence that says, you don't own my reaction. When you detach from the need to prove or defend, you take your power back. Detachment is not apathy. It's a refined form of self-mastery. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It means choosing. Choosing peace over chaos. Choosing clarity over confusion. Choosing the long game over the emotional high. There was a time I lost my cool in front of a team. A client insulted my work and I let ego take the wheel. Raised voice, flared emotions, the whole theater. It felt good in the moment. But later, regret, embarrassment. The client walked, and my team's trust eroded. That day taught me that staying calm under pressure is more than admirable, it's essential. Napoleon Hill emphasized self-discipline and composure as key traits of leaders. Why? Because chaos reveals the untrained mind. When life applies pressure, your reaction exposes whether your mindset is built on strategy or ego. The resilient mind doesn't flinch, it doesn't chase every provocation, it stays grounded. It knows that not every battle needs a warrior. Sometimes, the wisest move is to observe in silence and respond later, if at all. Strategic silence is not weakness, it's a form of dominance. When you're not predictable, you become powerful. People lean in, they wonder what you're thinking. That's influence, that's leverage. Self-mastery isn't flashy, it doesn't trend, but it transforms. Because once you've mastered your emotions, nobody can use them against you. I've seen it over and over. Those who appear calm, who listen more than they speak, who walk away without explaining, those are the ones who control the room. Not with force, but with presence. And presence isn't accidental. It's built through reflection, practice, and the relentless pursuit of inner clarity. You don't need to fight to prove your strength. You don't need to react to show you care. You just need to remember who you are when others forget. Letting go of the need to react is how transformation begins. Because from that space comes choice, and from choice comes freedom. So the next time you feel the heat rising, remember this: calm is a strategy, stillness is power, and your silence may hold more influence than your loudest argument. You're not here to be reactive, you're here to lead, quietly, strategically, powerfully. The work of mindset transformation is not glamorous, it happens in private. In the car after a hard conversation, in the quiet moments after being insulted and choosing not to retaliate. It happens when you rewrite the story your mind tells you about strength, pain, and control. Napoleon Hill didn't speak to a generation that had social media, but his lessons ring louder than ever. In a world where everyone's reacting, those who pause, win. Here's the question: what's the cost of always reacting? Relationships? Opportunities? Your peace? Most people don't lose because they lack skill. They lose because they couldn't manage a moment. So let this be your practice, your philosophy, your edge. Start watching what triggers you and ask why. Then ask, is this worth my peace? Is this moment asking me to react or to rise? Because the version of you who learns to respond with presence, not impulse, will be unshakable. And that's not a gift, it's a decision. It starts now. You've mastered calm until life hits your soft spot. That's when the real test begins. Napoleon Hill believed that pressure exposes the untrained mind, not when things are easy, but when everything's falling apart. In that moment, Your response defines your level of mastery. It's not about pretending to be okay. It's about preparation. Calm isn't found, it's built. You train for it, just like you train for strength. That's the true essence of emotional control. Pressure reveals what's inside. You might feel resilient until something doesn't go your way. Then ego kicks in. Fear grabs the wheel, and suddenly, your strategy is gone. That's why mastering your mindset isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Think of a firefighter. He doesn't run toward flames because he's fearless. He's trained. That's the kind of mental toughness we need, not to suppress emotions, but to direct them. I've seen leaders crumble because they weren't emotionally prepared. Deals fall apart, teams lose trust, and all because someone couldn't manage a moment. One wrong word, one emotional outburst, and everything shifts. I've been there. A client criticized me publicly. I felt the heat rise. My heart pounded. I wanted to react, but I didn't. I paused, breathed, responded with clarity, and that saved the relationship. That wasn't weakness. That was self-mastery. Letting go in that moment wasn't giving up. It was choosing what mattered more. Ego or outcome? When you stay calm under pressure, you stay powerful. You lead the room without raising your voice. This is where detachment becomes your superpower. It's not apathy. It's choosing to protect your energy. Strategic silence isn't retreat, it's control. Resilient minds don't need to prove anything. They don't flinch, they observe. Choose, reframe. They've practiced how to stay grounded, even in the middle of storms. And here's what most people miss. Every emotional win builds your inner strength. Every moment you choose stillness over reaction transforms your wiring. That's mindset transformation. Not a one-time shift, but daily, intentional choices. You're not just avoiding meltdowns, you're building a version of yourself that can thrive under chaos. That's what it means to master your mindset. So what if you start seeing pressure differently? What if every challenge is a training ground? What if the discomfort is the doorway to discipline? I know people who've trained themselves this way. They don't raise their voices, they don't explain their calm, but you feel it when they walk in. That's power. That's preparation. Stay calm under pressure, not to impress others, but to preserve your purpose. Because in a reactive world, those who respond with intention will always lead. That's the path Napoleon Hill walked. Not one of comfort, but control, inner command. Let pressure come, let it test you, and let your stillness be your answer. The next time life squeezes you, don't just react, reflect, detach, choose. Because the real win isn't in controlling the world, it's in controlling your response to it. And that's how you become unshakable. It's easy to speak about mindset when life is quiet. But when pressure knocks, everything hidden surfaces. That's when your training shows. Do you panic or pause? Do you lash out or lean in? That's where the work lives. And this doesn't mean you never feel overwhelmed. It means you've built the muscle to navigate it. You know the cost of a reckless response. You know that behind every reaction is either an old wound or a new choice. So you make that choice again and again. Napoleon Hill wrote about autosuggestion, repeating the beliefs you want to live by until they take root. But those beliefs must be tested. Pressure is your test. Will you stay calm? Will you hold your boundaries? Will you protect your peace? To master your mindset is to choose long-term clarity over short-term comfort. It's to stop letting triggers script your behavior. Letting go of that need to be right, to win the moment, to prove your strength. These are radical acts of emotional maturity. You won't always get it perfect, but every time you respond instead of react, you're rewriting your wiring. This is why healing is the foundation of leadership, not just for others, but for yourself. The most powerful people in the room are often the quietest. They've trained their nervous systems. They've practiced stillness. So ask yourself, when the next wave hits, will you drown in it or surf it? This is how you rise, not through noise, but through quiet mastery. You don't need to fight to prove your strength. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is breathe and not react. Napoleon Hill understood that peace isn't the absence of storms. It's the refusal to be swept away. And in a culture obsessed with hustle, conflict, and speed, choosing calm becomes a revolutionary act. Many confuse silence with weakness. They think if you don't respond, you're surrendering. But peace isn't passive, it's power, under control. Think of a river. It flows around rocks not because it's weak, but because it's committed to movement. The river doesn't fight every obstacle. It adjusts, redirects, and keeps going. That's what real strength looks like. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be calm and still be fierce. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply about what actually matters. There's a clarity that comes when you stop trying to win every moment. You start seeing the long game. The things that used to trigger you lose their grip. The loudest person in the room no longer commands your attention. You listen more. You observe. You lead. This is what mindset transformation looks like. A shift from impulse to intention, from defense to grounded presence. I remember someone criticizing me online. Years ago, I would have replied immediately, defending myself, proving them wrong. But this time, I let it be. I kept building. Weeks later, the same person messaged me. I misjudged you. Thanks for the work you're doing. That's the power of calm. It speaks when you don't. It leaves a mark without needing applause. Mastering your mindset doesn't mean you never feel anger or pain. It means you stop letting those feelings choose your future. You pause, reflect, choose. You can be soft and strong. You can let go without giving up. You can walk away and still be in control. Mental toughness isn't about shutting emotions down. It's about understanding them and deciding how much space they get. You were never meant to carry every insult, every disappointment, every fear. Letting go is how you create room for peace. And peace is how you build a life that's unshakable. In a world that moves fast, stillness becomes rare. In a culture that glorifies loudness, silence becomes sacred. Strategic silence isn't ignoring. It's choosing when to speak and when not to. People will try to pull you into their chaos. Don't go. Let them wonder how you stay so composed. Let them watch as you grow quietly, intentionally. Every moment you respond with calm, you rewrite the story of who you are. You show the world and yourself that your worth isn't tied to drama or validation. This isn't about being better than others. It's about being better for yourself. About creating a life where you don't just survive, you thrive. You don't need permission to be peaceful. You don't need approval to be calm. You just need the decision. Today, I choose stillness. Today, I choose peace. Today, I choose me. Because when you reclaim your calm, you reclaim your power. Let that be your superpower. This is how transformation really happens, not by trying to fix everything, but by becoming someone new, someone who no longer takes things personally, someone who doesn't chase peace, but becomes it. Napoleon Hill taught that success starts within, that the most powerful shift is not external, but internal. When you change how you see, you change what you attract. There's a quiet confidence that comes when you no longer need to convince anyone. You just live, you do your work, you build your life, and the results begin to speak. People will misunderstand you. Some will test your patience. Others may doubt your journey. But none of that can touch you unless you let it. That's the art of emotional control. To stay rooted in your truth, even when everything else feels shaky. Master your mindset, and your circumstances start to change. Not because the world got easier, but because you became stronger, softer, wiser. You won't always get it right. You'll have days when you stumble, when your emotions flare. That's okay. It's not about perfection. It's about practice. Each time you choose calm, you rewrite your identity. You become someone who no longer runs from storms, but walks through them with clarity. You're not here to impress. You're here to evolve. And as you evolve, your calm will become contagious. Others will feel it. And maybe, just maybe, it'll remind them to slow down too. This is how movements start. Quietly, with one person choosing peace. Let it begin with you. Some power is loud, but the kind that lasts, the kind that leads, is often silent. Napoleon Hill didn't just teach success. He revealed the psychology of calm, of choosing clarity when the world demands chaos. When others rush to be seen, you can choose to be steady. That's emotional control. That's detachment, not from caring, but from clinging. Not from feeling, but from reacting. Strategic silence is not passive. It's powerful. It's your refusal to be baited, your discipline to wait for alignment over attention. You don't need to prove your presence when it's rooted. Think of the chess master, silent, focused, reading 10 moves ahead. Stillness isn't inaction. It's direction under control. Mental toughness is the ability to stay calm under pressure, not because you suppress emotions, but because you've trained your nervous system to remain grounded. Letting go doesn't mean you walk away. It means you rise above. And the moment you stop needing to react is the moment you gain real influence. That's self-mastery. It's built through repetition, in the quiet moments when no one's watching but you. It's waking up each day and choosing alignment over urgency, depth over noise. And from that, the resilient mind is formed. A mind that no longer chases everything shiny, a mind that's anchored in purpose. You begin to master your mindset, not for applause, but for peace. And in that peace, something rare is born: legacy. Mindset transformation is not about fixing, it's about remembering who you are beneath the performance, what stillness feels like before the pressure. And when you find it, hold it, because that kind of presence doesn't need defending. It needs space, it needs practice, it needs nothing, but speaks volumes. You're not here to win every argument. You're here to win back yourself, and when you do, the world adjusts. It leans in, it listens. And that silence, it isn't absence, it's intention. You've detached from chaos, not because you're cold, but because you've warmed up to peace. That's what separates leaders from noise. Let others rush to be loud. You focus on being clear. You no longer explain your presence. You embody it. You no longer fear quiet. You leverage it. Each moment you resist reacting is a rep in emotional strength. Each time you let go of needing the last word, you're choosing your higher self over your ego. You're no longer proving, you're practicing. This is what it means to build a resilient mind. One that holds under pressure. One that bends without breaking. One that sees the long game and plays it with poise. Self-mastery isn't about perfection. It's about progress without panic. It's the result of mindset transformation, an inner evolution that changes how you respond to everything. You start hearing what others miss. You start noticing what others ignore. You make better decisions, not because you know more, but because you're anchored in less. Fewer fears, fewer assumptions, fewer attachments, and more presence. And from that presence, you build legacy, not from volume, but from value. So breathe, recenter, let go. Your stillness is not a pause. It's a message. It's your stance, and it's enough. And if they don't understand your stillness, let them. You've stopped chasing explanations. You've started building internal evidence, evidence that your presence is enough, that your detachment is strategy, not neglect, that your silence is alignment, not absence. This is why you no longer need applause. You've chosen authority instead. And from that choice, your leadership grows, not as noise, but as resonance. Because when you carry peace, people feel it. When you think clearly, others follow. When you lead yourself, no permission is needed. You are no longer addicted to momentum. You've matured into mastery. You've practiced enough to stay centered even when the world spins. You've learned that pressure can't move what presence has rooted. So what's next? Stay here. Train deeper. Think cleaner. Choose slower. That's where the real work is. Not out there. In you. Right here. And when you train this way, quietly, daily, you stop waiting for clarity. You become clarity. This is the difference between reacting to life and responding from alignment. You show up with less fear because you've let go of noise. You make decisions with more certainty because your inner state is no longer chaotic. You speak with fewer words and land with more weight. This is what happens when silence becomes your strategy. This is what happens when you commit to self-mastery. And this is how legacy is built, not from perfection, but from presence lived deeply, silently, and with intention. That's the kind of presence we train for at Mindset Mastery Hub.